Okay, what is up, fellas? We're back like we never left, episode 6 of the small cap review. We can go ahead and jump on into things. We'll start with the leading gapper, ALLR. Let's see, 121% gap. So I think me, like everyone else that's been paying attention, or at least traded yesterday at least, has CMTX on the mind. When you get this leading gapper, now you may be a little bit more likely to chase, to want to join in, get a little bit of FOMO. But we go right back to the old ways. Top leading gapper over 100%, high a day within the first 5 minutes, and then a strong, strong fade the rest of the day. So this one was, a very clean play. To start out on the daily, we're coming off of all-time lows. Not much consolidation there at the bottom. There wasn't a ton of levels. So what I did is I went to the hourly chart and found this level here, coming off of this daily pivot. This nice zone in pre-market here. We see some action on it, and it was a good zone to draw. Once I drew that and it came up to it in pre-market and respected it, pretty much lined up with how you would draw a pre-market zone, except a little bit taller. I knew that that was a great level to watch. And of course, we get a great play out of it. Like I said, high a day in the first 5 minutes. That happens roughly 40% of the time on gappers over 100%. That's a little bit of sauce for you. And then, if you were patient, didn't want to chase, again, CMTX on the mind. Let's see what it looks like. You know what it's going to be. Let's draw those fibs. There. We'll make them orange. 61 fib. Bang. Now, it would have been perfect if it came up to this daily level, this 322, and tested it, but anywhere in the 61 to 72 fib range is what you'd like to see. Once that hit, pretty much straight down all the way to the 5-minute 200. No stress trade all the way down. Take half your profits, 3/4, whatever you want. And this one is setting up to close towards the low of day. So the shorts that don't get shaken out after one play that goes against them get rewarded today with this great, great fade, all the way from almost 350. We're down to 125 now, so massive haircut on the stock. So great play on the short side, and one that was going to catch all the chasers that had FOMO for missing out from CMTX yesterday. Now, let's take a look at EBS. This was my main watch going into the day. Really, my only concern on it when it was opening down here was potential lack of range. I was thinking from zone to these daily levels, 10, 13%. I'm looking for closer to 20, but this proved to be a really strong name. And so when you go back and dissect it, you can see a couple factors that, could maybe give you a little bit more faith that it could go beyond that 10 or 13% that you see here going up to VWAP. So first and foremost, 78% toots on this name. Obviously, that's a huge number. A lot of people with skin in the game, meaningful skin in the game, running this thing. So you get a nice move out of it there. And then also another thing was the daily on this. I will pull up this daily so we can see it a little better. Where did we open up? We opened up right here, and right below it we have 1, 2, 3, 4. You even get a couple more, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A bunch of pivots down here towards this level. This level can be drawn out from the after hours from yesterday, I guess. Right here, easy to draw. Everyone can do that on their charts, and look at that. Now, ideally, it would have been a little bit lower, closer to that 275. But it doesn't always play out like that. You get a tap in the zone and strong stocks want to go, so it goes. Sets the low a day in the first 5 minutes. Again, key that we love to see. And then we get a strong move up to pre-market levels. It pretty much just chews through these dailies, a little bit of congestion here at this daily, but pretty clean move after the bounce on VWAP up to this first pre-market level. Just clear pivot that it was not able to break above in the pre-market. Draw that out. Get a nice wick over it. And to be honest, I did not play this. But if I was in it and I saw this fake breakout above this level, great key to go ahead and take some or all profits depending on how you want to play, whether you want to recycle and try for another play or hold on to your better average from down below um, with a lotto with a couple shares left. You can play it however you'd like, but we get this move down. Looks like it's going to be selling, but it holds up off the daily level at 308, a couple wicks below. Candles making new highs and volume increasing as we start this next leg up. So another thing to keep in mind is this pre-market volume that you get here. In the pre-market, you're getting about 9 million shares traded. And then in the first hour, you're up to 60 million. So well above the 4 times that we like to see. And you can, I mean, you don't even have to use a tool to measure it out. You can't even see these volume bars, tiny, tiny, tiny. This one doesn't count, tiny, tiny, tiny. And then right away, meaningful volume, almost over a million for every 2-minute candle here, barring this very tiny section here, and then a really volume explosion. Um, and then another great point here with these pre-market levels, you get the ultimate pre-market high here at 354. And we know that's a great place for a stock to base. Pulls back to the 8 EMA. Nice flag pattern here. If you're patient, just waiting, waiting for that first candle to make a new high, if that's the way you roll. Enter here and set the stop below this candle here. It's right at the whole dollar, so I'm not going to do 350. I'd probably do 349 just to give it a chance there. And so if you play this by the book, not aggressive, staying patient, you would get an awesome, awesome return out of it. Let's see. Over 25% in a couple minutes. Very easy work right there. I think that's about all I have on this one. This is classic support turning to resistance, tide shift, and we get the sell off there. And then also, didn't even look at this, but I think I can guess where this is going to bounce up to. Draw those fibs. 61 to 78 fib. Bang. Right there. Like clockwork, easy money on the short side there. You just have to be patient. Wait for that actual top to be in. When you get a candle that goes up 25% in one candle, high a day volume, that's a pretty good sign. Um, Honestly, probably could draw some more levels here that I didn't even mess with. Yeah, that's crazy how that works. Okay, well, you will move on from that name. SGBX, this one was another interesting one. It's always interesting when you get these names that pop right before open. This is at 9:02, so you get 28 minutes only from that to open. So that plays a hand in getting that very small amount of pre-market volume, making it easy for that opening volume, that first 30-minute volume, that first hour volume to exceed the key points that we want it to and really overwhelm that pre-market volume. Um, another interesting thing that we can note from this pre-market is just the range that it has right off the bat. We're going from 220 up to over 450. It shows that, in one candle, it can go 10% easy. That's 20%. That's 30%. So these are moves that can happen fast. So don't chase, get in at good levels, um, and don't be afraid to take profits quicker on a name that's going to fluctuate like that. Excuse me. Okay, so this one gapped 34% in the pre-market by the time that it opened. And the key here like it usually is, lies in the daily chart. So let's take a look and zoom this thing in. This daily gap that it just created last week was the key. You always draw those daily gaps. I don't care if it's been filled on one side, the other side, both sides, whatever. Draw the daily gaps. They are powerful levels. Um, so if we keep that in mind, going into the day, saying, "Oh, I want to play the daily gap, see if we can get a fill up," you know, you're going to be patient at the open. You see it above and below. You say, "Okay, it's got to be back above and be looking strong for me to want to get in for that gap fill." So whether you're taking it when it re-enters the zone here, which is of course a riskier play, or if you are patient and wait for it to come back down, absorb, show that it's going to respect this low, and then play for a zone to zone, get this whole gap move in there. Nice 30% move, low stress on top of EMAs, on top of VWAP, nice tap on it, clean play, and then obvious signs to get out. Get out. You get 1, 2, 3, 4 wicks above the top of that daily zone. So if you're not taking profits there, you're just being stubborn and just hoping, and that's the last thing that you want. So um, as I was preparing to make this, I was looking and said, actually, this thing has a chance to kind of come off these lows, daily level, daily gap. No reason that this needs to be finished when it's holding levels all day. So wanted to keep on watch going into close and could get an exciting move out of it. Because this volume here, only less than 7 million shares today on this, already over or right at 15, or at less than 1,000 shy of 15. So um, with that stronger volume, it could come in and start taking out some of this. So um, that was another interesting name, one of my top watchers going into the open. Um, and then I've got two more. We'll save CNTX for last. Let's do APVO, because this was interesting as it was a little day two play. PVO. Now, before we get into today, let's look at yesterday. Really, the thing that you need to know is just this pre-market high, this whole pre-market high zone. Get these wicks, pull that over. This whole thing is the key zone to keep in mind. And then, of course, on the daily chart, we had this gap fill. So this makes it a little bit more tricky to play because, there is no levels off here. You're just purely going off of price action and what you see, excuse me, in the pre-market here. So um, this was on watch when it's making these pre-market highs. Just draw out that pre-market zone. And when you see it opening near this previous high a day, definitely worth watching. Was a little tricky as it gives this nice dip into the zone at the end of pre-market. Um, and in some cases, that's going to be the move, and we'll go up here to up above VWAP or maybe even the pre-market zone and come back down. But in this case, can't flip these EMAs positive, weak open. And this is a case where you don't get that low of day in the first 5 minutes exactly. It's a couple minutes later. So for me, it's a little trickier, but if you keep in mind just not the pre-market high, but also that daily gap level and try to get something in between, um, risking below the key levels, you have to put your stop in places that matter. You can't put it just where, where you're scared or you think you're going to get stopped out. You got to put it in a place that matters. And with that, you have to adjust your share size. So you're adjusting your risk accordingly. So this one, again, was a little trickier, but did give a great move. If you're waiting for candles to make a new high after this inside bar, you still get a nice 20% move out of it, which is, of course, what we're looking for. Base is a little bit on VWAP, fake breakout, high volume of the day, and that's pretty much that. So again, more bounces off it, just showing how key that previous high day level is. But with this I mean, when it already sets a pre-market high, comes up, tests it, rejects it, comes up, tests it, rejects it. Um, you don't have a ton of faith that it's going to come up, flag, break above, base on top, and keep going higher. So the range was a little bit limited in terms of what, at least for me, what I was expecting. I did not think that this was going to go up and go to the 220 gap. That would have been pretty nuts. And then CNTX, this is one that there's plenty of examples, plenty of lessons that you can learn. First and foremost, the example of using volume as a guide. In pre-market, it's had 12.74 million shares traded. But if you look at the first 30 minutes after, combined with that pre-market volume, you're only getting 18 million. So this thing just simply did not have the juice to make a strong move to the upside. On top of that, the pre-market structure is not ideal. You could even be more generous with how you draw this thing. I mean, this whole joint was suboptimal here, where if you don't have a lot of volume, it's going to be hard to break through previous levels, previous consolidation zones, and that's exactly what happened here. 1, 2, 3 tries to get up in there, pause, uh, and cannot do it. Another thing to keep in mind is this daily zone below. Very obvious, very clear daily zone that you can draw. All these recent pivots. If it opened up right here, you would feel better about it. It has a lot of, it's exactly what you want, opening on top of the pivots. But when it opens much higher, a lot of times stocks want to go to those key levels, those key zones, and that's exactly what you get here. So when you combine the lack of volume that you get at the open compared to the pre-market volume, the pre-market structure, the daily zones below, this is a name that you could easily avoid, not get messed up in trying to go long. I wouldn't try to short this thing either because the range is limited. I mean, just from open to this daily zone, even if it, breaks through it, 20%, but that's, if you want to be an opening print boy, which I am not. So a lot of lessons, a lot of good names, a lot of good notes that you can take in the market today. And I think it's setting us up for maybe an exciting Friday. Today was one of the more enjoyable days to trade with names moving, a bunch of different looks, a couple day two. We didn't even go over things like JAGX again on the move, up to 30 cents this time, continuing its multi-day run. You get RGF as a day two play pretty cleanly off of these these previous day highs. First candle opens up, dips off that previous high a day, and you get a really sweet move from it, even when the volume is lacking. Keynote here, look at that, look at that volume divergence, high a day volume, extension candle, all she wrote. Um, so yeah, there's a ton of stuff that we could look at, go over, but we will leave it there. Hope you guys traded well this morning into the power hour that is upcoming. Um, and thank you guys for watching. If you enjoy it, I'll be doing these recaps um, pretty much every single day. I'm going to try to do them every day. So subscribe if you're interested. If you have questions, leave it. Would love to talk about any topics that you guys are interested in, any questions that you may have. So again, thank you and have a good day.